World of Warcraft now has 13 classes to choose from, and there is speculation that this selection will soon expand with a new class, namely the Tinkerer, also known as the Tinker. There are now new images that have surfaced, which are said to be internal images showing that Blizzard is already testing this spec. We'll take a look at what this is all about in this video. If you want more, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and with that, let's get started. Basically, this has been going on for a very, very long time. The idea that we could get a Tinker, I think we've been hearing about that for almost 10 years now. But, and this is interesting, about 2 years ago, there was a survey about World of Warcraft, the War Within, and Blizzard asked on several pages how we would feel about new classes. So, for example, they asked about Tinker, the Gunner, and an Astrologer, and it went even further than that. Apothecary, Bard, Witch, Celestial Lancer, Battle Mage, Artificer, Lay Weaver, we have Prismatics, Titan Killers, Necromancer, Wardens, Spellbreaker, Artificer, and so on and so forth. So, all in all, this survey asked about well over 10 new potential classes where Blizzard just wanted to know, hey, would you be interested in that or not? Of course, you also have to say the whole thing has to fit into the expansion somehow. So, for example, an Evoker fit very, very well with World of Warcraft Dragonflight. We know the next expansion we're getting is the Last Titan. And it might not make much sense lore-wise to introduce a technical necromancer or something like that. But I think it's good that Blizzard is doing these surveys because we've already touched on a lot of things like Spellbreaker or Magician or something like that. Yeah, you basically have Mage for that. No, that's already very, very similar. But something like a Necromancer, which might be a mix between an Unholy Decay and a Demo. Warlock, who fights with even more undead and actually just buffs his minions and hardly does anything himself. I think that's pretty awesome. So there are some cool concepts among them. And yes, as I said, a class that has been around for years is the Tinker. We can also see that again here in the survey, which in the end are probably heirs of Titanic power. No, this is prismatic here. That's not written correctly. But yes, ultimately Tinkers, all very gnome-inspired, who create machinery and so on and so forth. And now there's a video from Doran's movies about it. And he has screenshots, or rather images, that are supposed to prove this new Tinker exists. It should be noted that he didn't provide any sources at all. He just says in the video that these are somehow internal images from Blizzard and that's the source. So there's no link or anything else where you can check it. And accordingly, yes, I've already watched some of his videos on my reaction channel. He does it pretty well too, but some of the things are, yeah, really far-fetched and constructed based on a single picture. Here we see a player in a kind of mech suit. Here, mech, whatever, you know what I mean? He's standing next to a dummy, there's a barrier around him, runes on the ground, and so on and so forth. So the whole thing kind of reminds me of a mix between mecha gnomes, just in a diamond mech suit or something, with a bit of a paladin look mixed in. The class is supposedly able to play as either a tank or a healer. And honestly, this looks pretty cool. But of course, you have to say that it's absolutely not certain how legit this whole thing is. It could also be that someone created the whole thing, sent it to him or something, and then it's presented as a leak. So yeah, take this with a bit of skepticism. But from the looks of it, there's someone sitting inside this suit, and that gives them access to special Tinker abilities. One of them is also shown here in this video. If we let it run for a bit, we see here Titanic Beam. So it's a beam that you channel which deals damage over 3 seconds. And we see here the whole thing generates Artificer energy. And that's why, once again, I'm not so sure about the leak. because we've seen that in this survey, Blizzard asked about different things, and Artificer and Tinker were actually different things, but here it would fit. Tinker, brilliant inventors. Those who have discovered the secrets of Titan technology use them to protect their allies, heal wounds, and attack enemies through their understanding. Tinkers can create inventions from machines, control mech suits, and send out mechanical constructs that give them an advantage in battle. So that kind of fits. And on the other hand, because it said artificial energy, that would fit better here with this artificer. But on the other hand, it also sounds very, very similar to the Tinker. Here it says it's a melee-based tank, DPS, or healer who uses handcrafted machines and Titan technology to fight on the front lines and protect his allies. So it could be both. It's kind of possible at this point. Nevertheless, here we see again what it looks like when this beam is being channeled. Just visually, this looks 1,000 times cooler than anything I would have associated with the Tinker. For me, Tinker was the third gnome race, just standing there and throwing out some generic machines that explode after 2 seconds. So visually, I didn't expect much. That's why it actually looks pretty awesome. Whether it actually happens in the end, we'll just have to wait and see at this point. That's why in the end, there are 3 pictures that are supposed to prove that Tinker exists. Whether that's actually the case in the end or here, that would be the preview in the character screen. So we see here it would probably end up that goblins can play this on the Horde side and on the Alliance side. Gnomes and Maker Gnomes, and then the character just jumps into this mech suit and fights inside it. Like I said, it already looks really awesome. Whether there's any truth to it, we'll have to see in the end. What's your opinion on it? How legit do you think all of this is? Would you be up for it? Feel free to write it in the comments, and with that, thanks for watching. See you in the next video, and take care.